Private First Class Helmut Schmuck, 19th a paratrooper of the 173rd Airborne Brigade, prepared for his first jump in combat. Vietnam, 1967. A wedding procession in the 1960s, USSR. The entire village would gather for the newlyweds' celebration. A crawling toy, USA, 1871. If you misbehave, it will crawl to you at night. President Bill Clinton misses a football pass during a game at the Hyatt Regency Hotel, USA, 1993. A 17th century metal mask worn by people deemed insane. Some masks bear engravings, such as Bible quotes or mocking inscriptions like, "I am a talkative fool." This indicated that the device served not only for isolation, but also for humiliation. Traditional winter goggles carved from walrus ivory, Canada, 1921. These were designed to protect the wearer from snow blindness caused by the sun's glare on the ice. Volcanologists Maurice and Katia Kraft, who witnessed 150 eruptions and often risked their lives for science. In 1991, they and 39 others died during the collapse of a lava dome at Mount Unzen, Japan. Kashmir Giants with Traveler Professor Rickleton, India, 1903. Chinese billionaire Liu Han, immediately after the death sentence was announced. He had been accepting bribes and promoting relatives and acquaintances to positions of power. An Indian kindergarten textbook in which a white woman is portrayed as the ideal of beauty, 1990s. Spruce trees hung over a road to camouflage it from the air. Finland, 10 kilometers from the Soviet border, 1941. In the town of High Wycombe, every mayor is weighed in the town square. The tradition dates back to 1678. Residents believed that if a mayor gained weight, it meant he was stealing from the treasury and living too lavishly. Jewish refugees aboard the ocean liner St. Louis returning to Europe after being denied entry to Cuba, the USA, and Canada, 1939. The city of Murmansk, after a German carpet bombing, USSR, 1942. 350 tons of bombs were dropped on the city in one day. Feminists holding a poster that reads, "Eve was framed, USA, 1970. A clever reference to the biblical story of the fall, suggesting Eve was unfairly blamed for humanity's sins. Martin Lorello, born with the ability to turn his head 180 degrees, 1938. In 1895, two cars collided in Ohio. The oddity of this case is that the automobile industry was just beginning, and there were only two cars in the entire state. Advertisement for a weight gain product, USA, 1950s. Maranasati, a spiritual practice in Hinduism, in which one must contemplate the entire process of a corpse's decomposition in order to despise death. The moment of the collapse of the World Trade Center in New York, USA, September 11, 2001. 19th century vampire hunting kit. In October 2012, Peruvian military caught a giant flying fox that was terrifying the local population. Its wingspan reached 2 meters. U.S. Army disperses WWI veterans demanding early payment of veteran bonuses, 1932. Tsutomu Yamaguchi survived the explosion in Hiroshima, left for work in Nagasaki, and 3 days later survived the bombing there too. 80 years ago, members of the White House press corps rushed to telephones after Truman announced Japan's surrender, August 14, 1945. Palestinians with an olive branch try to start a conversation with Israeli border guards. West Bank, 1991. Before retreating from Kuwait in 1991, Iraqi troops, on Saddam Hussein's orders, set fire to about 700 oil wells. Toxic smog hung over the Persian Gulf for nearly a year. Oil rains fell on resorts in Turkey and the UAE. 1 billion barrels of oil burned in the Kuwaiti desert. The message that killer William George Hirons wrote in lipstick on the wall of one of his victims' apartments. "For heaven's sake, catch me before I kill more. I cannot control myself." 1945. Princess Diana in her car shortly before the fatal crash. Architects present models of the World Trade Center, USA, 1964. When the British jailed Gandhi in 1932, the nationalist leader continued to spin his own thread. Mahatma Gandhi called upon Indians to create their own textiles rather than purchasing British goods. Merle Larcon manually starts the engine of his plane, USA, 1946. The unloading of bodies after the ferry Doña Pass collided with an oil tanker in 1987, resulting in about 4,300 deaths, the largest peacetime maritime disaster. The cause of the tragedy was negligence from the crew. There was only one person on the bridge while the rest of the officers were resting, watching TV, and drinking beer. Life vests were locked up, and no ship sent an SOS. Jonas Salk demonstrates the first polio vaccine, 1955. A donkey saving a donkey while man kills man. A woman tries to stop bulldozers from demolishing her home to build a highway. The standoff lasted several days. On August 5, 1958, 5 sheriffs posing as reporters entered her home and disarmed her. The court awarded her $9,000, and the house was smashed to pieces. A nurse holds a newspaper bearing the headline, announcing the creation of the Salk polio vaccine for a patient, 1955. French resistance member Georges Blind smiles while being executed by the Germans, 1944. Cat mobilization, USSR, 1942. 5,000 cats were sent to Leningrad to fight rodents and protect food supplies. In World War II, Ireland remained neutral, yet Prime Minister Eamon de Valera and President Douglas Hyde personally expressed condolences to the German ambassador on the death of Hitler. As the saying goes, the service at a fine restaurant is flawless, no matter the circumstances. Postmortem photography, late 19th century. The mother and father are blurred, their daughter is not. She's dead, but they wanted to capture her as a memory. A photo of 2 NASA engineers inside a hangar the size of a 10-story building, where blocks with flaps guide the air around the aerodynamic tube at the Ames Research Center, 1960. A party for both white and black children, Virginia, USA, 1958. In 1958, racial segregation in U.S. schools was legislatively abolished. Salvador Dalí, 1947. Adolf Hitler visits the Dresden exhibition of Degenerate Art, 1935. This is a Soviet woman who lost 7 sons during World War II. Luftwaffe. Obergefreiter hides his face in shame after surrendering. Belgium, 1945. The basketball team of the Calaco Indian School. This symbol once represented luck. USA, 1908. The Lebensborn program operated in the Third Reich. Racially pure women slept with SS officers to produce true Aryans. Over 12 years, 20,000 children were born through this program. Skeleton of a giant turtle, photo from 1902. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated a few months before the creation of the Secret Service to protect the president and other high-ranking officials. Ironically, the bill to create the service was on Lincoln's desk. Playing tennis on the wing of a flying airplane, USA, 1925. Jubilee visitor at an American POW camp, April 20th, 1945. Parade of Hate, 50,000 Ku Klux Klan members in Washington, 1926. American and Mexican soldiers stand at the Arizona border before the Big Wall was built, 1915. In ancient times, Santa Claus would collect naughty children, throw them in his basket, and take them to the North Pole to serve him as slaves. This is where the legend of Santa's elves comes from. This 1915 rural school bus in the USA combined automotive technology with horse-drawn power, while cities were already transitioning to automobiles. Acoustic locators from World War I, 1917 to 1940. A black boy drinks from a water fountain designated for whites only, USA, 1939. Horse diving, a popular show where riders and horses jumped from an 18-meter height, 1969. North Korea had not participated in wars for 60 years, but their generals looked so out of shape that they could be defeated with a magnet. American Marines pose against the backdrop of a huge mushroom cloud from a nuclear explosion, Nevada, May 1952. Reporters who uncovered the Watergate scandal watching Nixon's resignation, 1974. A man tries to open the door to his cell in Kigali during the Rwandan genocide, 1994. David Dellinger and Jerry Rubin nominate a pig for the position of president in Grant Park, Chicago, USA, 1968. Several members of the Ku Klux Klan prepare to greet the Gay Pride Parade in Chicago, 1986. During World War I, cats were kept in trenches to warn of gas attacks in advance. During World War II, they were taken aboard submarines as live air quality detectors. Let's compare the first telephoto lens to modern ones, 1900. Daddy Long Legs, the Underwater Electric Railway, 1897. Incredibly powerful earthquake in Alaska, magnitude 9.2 to 1964. Advertisement for children's cocaine, drops for tooth pain, instant effect, and only 15 cents. King George inspects the day's trophies. Tigers hunted during his visit to India, 1911. Finnish soldiers send a Russian prisoner to persuade his commander, who barricaded himself in a dugout, to surrender 1941. In case of war, evacuate the children, cover the windows, kill the cat. After the declaration of war in September 1939, the British killed over 750,000 pets, fearing there would be nothing to feed them. Barack Obama visiting his step-grandmother, Sarah Ogwell Onyango Obama, Kenya, 1988. The last photo of the Javan tiger, a now extinct species, 1938. London Military Hospital, World War I participants, 1918. Let's Make Friends, a speech by Adolf Hitler to the world community, February 29, 1936. The Strangler, Sakhalin, 1903. A woman could strangle a man if she caught him cheating, but not all women had enough strength. Thus, the profession of stranglers emerged. Mark Twain demonstrates an experiment with high-frequency current passing through the human body, lighting an incandescent light bulb. A mischievous Nikola Tesla at the light switch, 1895. The first test of the electric chair on a prisoner sentenced to death, USA, 1956. In 1991, the famous Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar reached an agreement with the government. Instead of being extradited to the US, he was to serve 5 years in prison. But ordinary prison didn't satisfy him. Escobar built himself a prison of dreams with a soccer field, a large dollhouse, a bar, a jacuzzi, and even a waterfall. The head of the Labor Protection and Safety Service acts as a model during a firefighting training course for McGuire Hospital employees, USA, 1965. A young bride heading to her wedding, China, 1912. An Iraqi man celebrates on top of a burning American Army Hummer in northern Baghdad, Iraq, 2004. Policeman measuring a swimsuit's length, USA, 1964. Crossbow arrows in the skull of a man who fell during the battle for the Swedish city of Visby, Gotland Island, in 1361. In the 19th century, atheist George Hall had a debate with a believer about whether giants once roamed the earth. Believing that people would believe anything written in the Bible, Hall carved a statue of a giant man, made it look petrified, and buried it in the ground in Cardiff, New York. He waited more than a year before digging up the Cardiff giant, charging people to come see it. By the time he was exposed, he had made nearly $500,000. Bertram Mills's freak show participants inspecting girls with giraffe necks. Freaks were very popular at the time, just as they are now. USA, 1935. A bullet-ridden pickup passes by a skeleton on the road, Somalia, 1992. In Tibet, a woman with more than 10 men was considered a desirable bride. Virgins were forbidden from marrying. Marco Polo said that Tibetan girls easily gave themselves to foreigners. Parisian children enjoying the thrilling climax of a puppet show of St. George and the Dragon, 1963. An American destroyer escorts a Soviet freighter carrying missiles from Cuba after the Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962. The Englishwoman Millie Cooper, an elite prostitute born in 1915. She started her career in the 1940s. And in 2011, at the age of 96, she was still working, earning $1,250 per session. Nebraska resident Audra Thomas photographs herself as a tornado approaches her farm. USA, 1989. First day of black student Dorothy Counts at Harry Harding High School, USA, 1957. She was one of the first black students admitted, but withdrew after only 4 days due to harassment. In 1939, mills in the United States began shipping flour in colorful sacks. This was done so that the poor could later sew clothes from the sackcloth. How erotic comics were viewed in the USA, 1942. Prisoners being taken to work, USSR, 1989. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope these photos impressed you. Some may have made you angry, brought a smile, made you happy, or perhaps even caused some negativity. Feel free to leave your comments and stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye.